Well, it's been a day since Syrian government forces won control of the strategic city of Qusayr alongside their allies Hezbollah. And there's growing alarm at the violent backlash now spilling over into Lebanon. Syrian rebels are suspected of firing rockets into Lebanon's eastern Baalbek region on Thursday. While in the northern city of Tripoli, gunfire has erupted between supporters of both sides in the Syrian conflict. The army has now been deployed in the Alawite neighbourhoods after Sunni clerics threatened to attack. Syria's government has also retaken control of the main crossing into the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights from rebel fighters who said they'd won it briefly on Thursday. 2 UN peacekeepers in the area have been wounded, and the fighting has prompted Austrian peacekeepers to withdraw from the region altogether. Well, let's get the latest from Sue Turton, who's live in the Golan Heights for us. And Sue, tell us what you've been seeing in that area.
Well, you can probably see behind me the smoke there, Shuli, is the town of Quneitra, where, as you say, the rebels launched a dawn raid on Thursday morning and actually took control of that town for some hours until the Assad forces came and took it back. But we're hearing in the last hour mortar shells and gunfire further along the border. If we pan to the left along the fence, which is the ceasefire border, you can see patches of smoke there. There's the town of Jabhat al-Qasab where there's been some fighting, and we keep hearing mortars landing pretty much every 10 minutes or so. So even though that the rebels have been pushed out of the town of Quneitra, it seems that they are still hanging on in areas there, and the Assad forces are still trying to take those pockets of resistance along the border.
And so we know that the Israelis are particularly concerned about this fighting so close to them. They must be very worried about the fact that Hezbollah has now waded into the fray.
They are very worried, and as you can see, really, the fighting is just a few hundred metres from where we are. I was just talking to one of the Israelis whose son is just across the hill from here, is at school, and they're really worried that this has become so close to their country. They have never seen it this close before. It's always been sort of an exchange of maybe the odd artillery, but never really the fighting in this civil war in Syria right on their doorstep. Now, we were talking to a very senior government spokesman as we were coming down here today, and they have launched a complaint to the United Nations because to take back this town, the Syrian government sent in tanks and sent in heavy equipment, heavy artillery. And that is in direct violation of the UN ceasefire from 1973, which is held for 40 years. So they're complaining about that. They're complaining that they're worried that the tanks could well end up firing onto Israel because it is so close to them. But they also use the word massacre, which is the first time we've really heard what looks like the Israeli government taking sides. They said we can't endorse the fact that the Syrian government is massacring its own people on our doorstep. So really they're trying to draw a line in the sand with the UN and really to try and say this isn't acceptable. And they're also, we've seen, moving tanks further towards the border. Across on my left shoulder there are at least 3 Israeli tanks that have got a lot closer to the border than before, and we saw quite a lot of reinforcements being sent up here on the road up to the Golan Heights earlier today.
Sue, thanks for that update. Sue Turton in Golan Heights there.